me say good morning. Let me say good morning to the listeners. Let me say good morning to viewers of GBN. How are you doing this morning? I hope all is well with you. Hope you're having a lovely Monday morning, 28th day of July, 2025. Those of you via social media platforms, good morning to you also. Welcome. It's to the point for today. I'm your host, GT. I'll be around with you till it's 10 a.m. this morning. Let me say good morning to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning to you, GT. Very good morning to you. How you doing? I am doing good. Let me take the opportunity as well to say good morning to our listeners, our followers, our contributors to the program. Mr. Millett, good morning to you. I know you're locked in with us. Right. And a few persons again who've met us in different places and so forth. A pleasant good morning to you, the folks at Glen. Really good morning to you and the NIS people as well. So it's really good. And by extension, the GBN family, all of those of you who locked in and give us the ideas and the support. We say a pleasant good morning to you and happy Carnival season. Yeah. I happened to meet someone, was it a day in last week, was it Wednesday, and they were saying, sometime we were speaking a lot about the safety tips and so forth last week, and they were saying, sometimes folks, they hear it all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the first time folks are hearing all the safety tips. Right. And they say, for themselves, they were happy for a bit of the refresher. Right. In terms of the tips. Refresher, that reminder for them, because sometimes we tend to put it aside and think, all is well. Yeah. But sometimes we always need to keep our mind. Especially when things are not happening, GT. Exactly. Yeah. When things are not happening. So we have a tendency to kind of put it aside a little bit until something happens, and then we try to remember the things that we should or shouldn't do, especially when a sort of an emergency kicks in. Mm-hmm. These are the do's and don'ts that we should have. And sometimes it slips us at the time because we didn't try to keep ourselves refreshed in terms of what to do and so. Yeah. So, the usual in this segment, we show some flowers, a bit of reminder of the week past, anything that happened that needs to be, of course, bring to the forefront and so forth. Anything in particular you want to? Yes, well, as usual, forgive me, not a bias, but I saw the police over the weekend with everything else that's happening and the suspect and the expectance of rising crimes and everything. I saw them, in their presence across the island. Yeah. And also, we're hosting this major conference here in Grenada. And I've seen them around. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I really want to commend and really highlight is now we've seen a new fleet of vehicles for law enforcement on our streets, and that is commendable. One of the groups I also saw that they were clamoring for support for farmers is the Pretty Alasni Task Force. I see them have their own transport. Mm-hmm. It is Mark PLTF. That in itself requires a bit of flowers and commendation. The other side of it is that I'm hoping that those who are entrusted with it, that they are going to create the maintenance process. They're going to drive safely on our roads, and they're really going to keep them clean and nice. Mm-hmm. I think we would want to see gone of the days when law enforcement will be driving around with vehicles like, those solo cans when you squeeze them, the old and so forth, and they have the cans. But they should be taken care of it too. They should, of course. 90% of the time, the condition it has deteriorated is because of the man it was, the care that it was given. You understand? And you see them driving around. They used to, I hope, drive around with broken lights, even if they charge people for it. Yeah. You would see broken and cracked windscreen and plastic. It's really distasteful to see that, and I'm happy to see that they're generating and creating a new image that is commendable, because your level of appearance it does affect positively your outcome and your output. It creates, if you have a working environment that is nice, it is clean and everything else, you have good equipment and everything else, it motivates you to produce. Yes. And I think an extension of what I would love to see now is the accommodation. The fire station is distasteful. It is still, it looks ugly. The mold and the peeling paints and all that. I think right in the city you have a beautiful police headquarters now. I think the fire station is one of those things that they should really enhance. You need a facelift, yes. I would say. And the accommodations across country for our law enforcement to give them that level above the regular, so that they can feel, well, we have a safer environment, we have good equipment and resources, we are now better to produce, we are to keep Grenada safe. And especially now for the Carnival season, when the
perception of risk is higher. Again, they have been stepping up their games. I want to continue to give them that kind of flowers, but we require the general public to be able to be law enforcers as well. Not just law abiders, but to be able to enforce it.
I like the manner in which you put that. I'm also seeing the traffic wardens. They're wearing a grey T-shirt now that I'm trying to remember as you were talking what it meant. It's something protection, something in the back of their T-shirts.
I don't know if they belong to the same group.
Because I'm seeing the same individuals who I know as traffic wardens.
Really?
I'm seeing them being traffic wardens, but I'm seeing them wearing this grey T-shirt now.
Grey and black, I think.
Grey and black, yes.
I saw them. I was trying to make the sign out.
But because I know the individuals, they are traffic wardens. They were traffic wardens. I'm not sure if they are stepped to something else.
Maybe it's a new branch, an angle. But the others in the blue with the white stripe and all that, I'm still seeing them, and some of them have been doing very good job.
But the individuals that I saw in the grey, but then after a couple of days, I saw them back in the blue. So I'm not sure if they were just.
If they have like a professional, operational look, and then another working look.
Another look for some
maybe
reason.
that could be good. That could be good too, because, and I also think over the years the police was trying to get officers to have a regular operational wear. You see them now. I think even cops are doing slim fit.
Yeah.
And you kind of trying to figure out whether or not they could move in those slim fit. You see the ladies even have pencil skirt with police uniform kind of thing, nice, and they look good.
Goes back to the kind of material. It goes back to the polymer material.
But it's whether or not they can be that flexible. And I think there was some senior persons one time who were clamoring for police to have these kind of rough kind of hard clothes where it has space that you can move freely if you have to chase a prisoner, and you have
the long term also.
And if you have to go into some place to do it, and when you have to step up to the other level, you have the regular shirt with the nice seams on it, and that to look cool. And then you have they have grades, they have class, they have 2s, 3s, 4s, and so on. Those kind of numbers, I think that will enhance the ability. But the aspect of the flexibility in the uniform, because you have your uniform really nice and sleek, your boots really pretty, and it says, am I going to run through that stuff? I can't even run in that. Am I going to kind of get this dirty?
I understand.
So it kind of
uniform for the purpose.
Yeah.
I also saw the special service unit have new uniforms also. They do. And we mentioned in cops a lot today.
Yeah. But we have to give them the flowers because they're doing good job. They're doing good job.
Some flowers today.
I also see the SSU. They move away from sometimes the all traditional camouflage vehicles, and they're driving regular vehicles, and they're conspicuously marked. And in some of them, I see they have the little camouflage writing that says SSU Special Service Unit, and then you see the RRU and so forth. Those. And I think the presence with the uniforms, the markings on the vehicle, when you stand and you represent, that says a lot.
Yes.
It says a lot, and I really want to give them that aspect of the flowers. The other group I want to give flowers to, they go sometimes like subtle on really identified Youth Emergency Action Committee, like the YAC, and it's now Caritas, and Caritas.
Okay.
You know, this Catholic Relief group, right?
Yes.
And so
I haven't heard about them for a bit.
They're working. Last weekend, for the entire week, as a matter of fact, from Tuesday to Saturday afternoon, they were involved in community emergency response training, and they were housed at the Mount St. Albans Retreat Center, which is a beautiful place for a lot of things. And so there were two trainers from Tobago. So there's a relationship between Trinidad, Tobago, and Grenada in terms of helping to enhance our emergency response capacity. And so those young persons, I think there were 90 or 21 of them who participated in training. There were about 7 local trainers who were part of the team. And to be honest, the younger persons, the youth themselves, were exposed to a level of training that gives us that kind of a comfort that we are building a different future, a future of safety and resilience. And I'm hoping that more youth persons can come on board, and there could be more initiative where people can be part of those kind of training. As a matter of fact, I do have some of them who've expressed the interest in working along with my group along for the carnival season.
I was just going to ask you how the momentum
at the major street events. Yes. So we will probably talk about it a little bit later, but there is a nice little momentum. I will be going through to some pharmacies and maybe supermarkets and hardware stores seeking their assistance and getting medical supplies.
Great.
To really enhance our kit in the event there is some emergency. As I said, I already spoken to some of the very senior police officers. I have not spoken personally to the Commissioner of Police, but they embraced the initiative of complimenting them, reinforcing what we do in terms of our emergency response. And from the persons I've spoken to, they said that's a really commendable initiative.
So it's a go for that.
Yes,
it's a go.
Definitely. And I do have additional equipment coming in. I ordered some stretchers and so on.
All right.
Hopefully they will arrive on time. They should come in by weekend.
All right.
So we're going to have those kind of enhanced capacity to be able, if there's some kind of emergency that they have people positioned. And I think people knowing that there are persons who are positioned to assist you, it makes the entire environment safe for itself.
Yeah.
When
some region doesn't want nothing to happen to you because somebody's there to take you.
That's correct.
Have that feeling.
and then it still makes you still feel safe. Not that you become careless.
Yes.
But because you breed positivity, positive things happen.
I agree.
So it's like when people see more law enforcement people are wrong, they feel safer and things happen better.
The environment now feels different.
Yeah, man.
It just feels different. I mean, I say it in that particular manner. Sometimes something is there to protect you. Mm-hmm. For some reason, no, nothing will happen because you know that protection is there.
That's good.
It's just a form of thinking. As they say, positive thinking brings along positive.
That's correct. And like GT, like last year, as we said last week, when people were fearful about the crime and violence and how it's going to happen, because there are a few shooting incidences, gun violence happening just before the carnival. We see a few of it, and then the police really stepped up the game.
Yeah.
And they were in every nook and corner. What I'm hoping to see though is what they did after those shootings is that they made their presence felt at some what they call hotspots.
Yeah.
Where people would assemble, and you can see the image, you can see their eyes, you can see their look, you can see the action, and you know that something's waiting.
I would like to see a year-round continuation of this.
You're right.
Folks may not like to admit it. Sometimes we'd be a little bit too reactive. We wait until something come and then we all come out and be part of it. If year-round these officers are noticeable in these so-called areas that hot spots or trouble spots, it will eliminate individuals who want to come there and do stuff.
Of course.
Just for the mere fact that there are officers there.
But some of the spots that became hot spots or trouble spots now are the ones over the years we allow to grow into that.
Yes,
but we don't want it to get further. So I think we spoke about that in the program, that some of the things you see in some places where people assemble, you can tell yourself that down the road
trouble is brewing there for some.
It's going to be and some of those spots that we have now that we have really serious challenge in controlling, they were not in the last 10 or so years done. But people were just assembling there, they were hanging. You see them, they would bring a couple case of Carib, they would sit and they would drink,
and then you see
bring a little bucket,
seating accommodation,
and then somebody will sell, and then you see seating start, a piece of wood, and then you see guys a little bag, and then they start rolling a few little things in the hand, they start passing it around, and then you hear there's an argument, there's an altercation, and then you hear people start zoning, and
they say locally a little block start
building, and some people say, well, this is my joint, and if you don't have that kind, you shouldn't come here. And then the other one have their own standard that they set, and they say that you shouldn't come here. And then we have what we call the so-called gangs generating themselves. Yeah. So if we can have a look at these things.
Sometimes I don't believe we have gangs in Grenada. In my opinion, I don't think we have gangs in Grenada.
No, we don't have gangs with what is really a gang.
We have individuals who are assembling or assemble together, friends or whatever, and probably develop a little turf for whatever they want to decide. I'm a Tempe boy, I'm a River Road boy, and we be all hanging.
Right.
But I don't think the real gang thing really exists. That's just my opinion.
No, your opinion is respected, and I
don't think we have gangs, because if you're in certain countries that that they are gangs, you know what they look like, or what it turns out to be.
So when we comparing, like we mentioned, statistics on COVID and crime sometime in the past, it is always measured per capita.
Yeah.
So in other words, what is a gang to the United States? What constitutes a gang in North America or otherwise would not necessarily constitute a gang.
Yeah.
But what they do with these people, they have heads, they have leaders, they have finance and other things, and they have a particular outcome. But if we break it down to a smaller, so-called third world states, developing countries, we are not exposed to that kind of a resource, so we would not have that kind of a structure. But the outcome is still the same. People would want to come together and they do things that are stupid. So in the sense then, what is a gang to the United States is a group to Grenada, but in its sense, it could be considered a gang because the end state is to do different things with a particular negative outcome in most cases. So, with that kind of explanation, yes, because we would not get to the state. Gang is a serious thing in North America.
You know, I was looking at a documentary in Trinidad and Tobago, and you watch how the indoctrination into these so-called gangs. It's terrible.
Right.
They will literally beat you to become a member.
Right. Oh yeah, and I think also if you look at how do you name these people who come together then. So I think saying gang to that sense give an understanding as to what you are perceiving in your mind that these people are out to do some things different. And maybe that's it. But you're right. A gang, we really don't have gang in its truth sense in Grenada. We don't have gang. Yeah.
Just some folks congregating, and that's basically it. And sometimes it leads to negative, decisions.
And before we take the break, I know I see your fingers moving for a break.
Yeah, well, let's hear.
No, what I wanted to say in addition to the weekend though, I saw. Well, with the eyes on traffic and the issues that we're going to speak about.
Yes.
I saw down at the True Blue roundabout, the bottom one.
Yeah.
They removed the banana cultivation because some of the blogger and the banana, the beer, and I think people just pulled them off, and they were already displaced. To be honest, I don't know whose idea was it to plant.
So you're happy for the removal?
Of course, to make that cultivation right there. But the other downside of it, GT, you're laughing for the cultivation. The other thing, they try to enhance the area. I remember one time they were trying to enhance the entire Morris Bishop strip of road, the highway, and they planted some flowers right down the middle, but they had to remove it because it was an obstruction to traffic and everything else.
Drivers were blurring their vision and so forth.
That's correct. But you know what they left on that CARICOM roundabout? I mean, the flags are nicely, fluttering in the breeze yesterday, the national flag and the CARICOM flag. But you know what they left? You know what is the yellow palm or the golden palm?
Yeah.
Those palm trees that grew up in clumps.
Yes, I know.
So between every block that has one of the country name, there's a little clump of this yellow or the golden palm. You know what's going to happen down the street? Those palms are going to grow up. What are they going to do? They're going to come together as cluster. What are they eventually going to do?
They'll remove again.
They have to be removed. But before they remove, what are they going to do to people?
Well, of course, you're going to obstruct vision again.
Of course.
Obstruct vision because I hope it doesn't left till it grow out of proportion before they.
It should not have been planted in the first instance. Yeah. Again, I don't know who's advising this process. I mean, our Minister Andy Williams and I, we got on kind of a cool, and I mean, I guess he took some of the tips that I mentioned and everything else. But we really hope that they will take a cue from this again. That you want to keep, the line of traffic and everything flowing. You want to create limit on no obstruction at all. Now, if you have these things there, you have to think long term. We cannot just think in the now what look really good. We have to look at what is that likely to become in the future. It will cost something now to maintain it, and to remove it. I could bet on you that
there's going to be a cost of the removal process.
Yes, because as it grows, the people coming from down the stretch and they come from the airport, despite you have to give way to traffic on your right,
it's going to become a problem that they're not going to see you.
But you need to be able to see what somebody else is doing, because some people do something stupid. So you need to have your vision clear enough that if somebody is making, they just kind of a fall asleep, they slip or whatever, and they're trying to drive on you can see them doing something silly. And there are businesses on the opposite side where vehicles also exit. So you want to be able to keep that as clear as possible.
I also don't know if you ever take notice, because as a driver, there's always that blind spot in the corner of your windscreen.
Of course there is. Always.
And those things in there, that little thing what they did for CARICOM. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you're going to go around, you very rarely you could see, because how they obstruct your traffic sometimes.
Right.
All of us may not take notice of it all the time.
Right.
But sometimes, depending, especially the individual that are coming around, it obstructs.
Yeah, and you have, and I'm happy that you mentioned, the blind spot in the vehicle. People don't understand that blind spot takes up. It's actually a blind spot, and with distance, it gives you further block.
Yes.
So at a few feet, it's going to give you X amount of block. Further on, it's going to give you X amount, and at particular angles, it actually could almost close off an entire vehicle based on the
I have
distance.
come in a situation where I just literally didn't see an individual even crossing the road.
That's
sometimes.
correct.
You understand?
That's
because of that. And they may say, hey, you didn't see me passing. But sometimes how they're coming and you're driving and you look, somebody's actually crossing the road. And that happens to me sometime when pedestrian crosses.
Yeah, because how your eye and your vision, it comes from in and it spreads out. So there's a smaller area comes towards the eye and it expands on both eyes. So if you have something at the line there and your eyes begin to focus now on that narrow, it closes in on some
and
aspect of it.
Blocks off
and it blocks off an aspect of your vision.
All right. That was an extended intro this morning, but it was all worth the while. It was all worth the while. We're due for that break, folks. Let's take it. We're coming right back. Stay with us to the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV.
Need to check your bill balance? Use the Glen mobile app. Open the Glen mobile app and tap the icon labeled Balances at the bottom of the screen. View your bill details, including your current bill balance, the due date by which you must settle your bill, the amount and date of the last payment you made. It's quick, easy, and available 24/7. Convenience at your fingertips.
Hi, it's me, Marlon Rennick of Connects, shipping company that provides all your shipping needs. We are here on the spot. Spice up the carnage, so come on up. Hey, it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, showcasing all our local talents. You might even see me singing a soca. So come down, join us on the carnage. As you can see, there are going to be giveaways, fun and excitement. Please, don't miss it. Come down, join us. Connect along with GBN on Spice Up the Carnage.
Shorty, who they talking to? Telling me that we can play mahjong. Who they talking to? Telling me that we can play mahjong. It's like intercall with a relay. The mass must play when we in there. Watch each job left in our victory. We don't pay for mass and it's free.
Yes, people, it's me, Tongue God. Don't do your man that. Remember, GBN, Spice Up the Carnage. I will be there. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that, girl. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that, girl. Don't do your man that. Your man don't... Oh, God! Ladies, make sure you come my people support. I will be there. Boom. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that, girl. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that, girl. Don't do your man that. Your man don't deserve that. Oh, God.
Stumps ready? The biggest party in sports is back. It's Republic Bank CPL 2025. Bowls off August 14th to September 21st. 34 matches, 6 teams, 6 nations. Your Caribbean cricket frenzy. From big sixes to deadly yorkers, catch every boundary, every wicket, every moment live on GBN TV and Classic Radio. This is not just cricket. This is CPL, sponsored by Republic Bank, Glen, and Hubbard. Republic Bank CPL 2025. Don't miss a ball.
Grenada, get ready. Faith Pentecostal Tabernacle presents Turning Point 3, August 30th at the Gateway Conference Center. Showtime 7 p.m. It's a captivating, hilarious, emotionally moving drama concert. Will Merlin finally get married? Can Sheila ever mind her own business? Will Danny or Uncle Raymond actually change? What really happened to Officer Brown? New to the story? Don't worry, Turning Point 3 gives you just enough backstory to pull you right in. Tickets cost $45 before July 31st. Available at gotofed.com, Grenadian Optical, Hills and Valley Pharmacy, and Gittins Pharmacy, St. George, Grandance, and Grenville. For the first time ever, you can watch from anywhere in the world. Just go to gotofed.com, click the pay-per-view link. Turning Point 3, August 30th at the Gateway Conference Center. Showtime 7 p.m.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, it's To The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. Mr. McIntyre, welcome back. Our focus conversation this morning, of course, we started it last week.
Yeah.
When we're talking safety, those tips and so forth, especially when you go out to various events that are coming up, how you drive on the nation's roads.
Yes.
The safety tips that are involved. So we're going to expand on that this morning. Continue to, of course, offer you those tips because it's time. And I mentioned to you, someone did mention to me, those tips. It helps to that as a refresher for individuals.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
The do's, the don'ts, and just the overall safety for yourself, just in case something of an emergency nature comes around, what you should do. And we know Carnival is coming up, and a lot of folks will be driving on the nation's roads under the substances that they may be consuming. Folks will be driving on the nation's roads. Folks with the oil on the roads from the jab and all of these things. So folks have to be careful. And safety is pivotal for your total well-being.
Right.
So we're going to be throwing on a lot of those tips this morning.
Absolutely.
On the program for the next couple of minutes or so. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to shell out some of those tips,
sure.
in that way.
Sure.
That would certainly help our listeners and viewers to be a little more mindful of what could happen just in case.
Yeah. So I do not always depend on my intellectual capacity and ability to expound on any particular issue, but I also depend on divine leading and my sense of intuition as to what would serve us best and what will be good. And so I always give careful thoughts and consideration to the topics that we're going to choose and to ensure that they're current and that they will really mean something to someone. So in our analysis of the situation, we looked at something that are likely to happen. We did speak a lot about the traffic offenses and the traffic accidents and those things involving vehicles and all that can happen. And so for that, we advise people, if you don't have to be on the road, try not to be. And if you're going to an event, you ensure that you check your vehicle consistently. Something that did not happen, you did not see yesterday may happen overnight. Fuel and so on, particular brake fluid and power steering and on these things, they can just spring a leak and they can just go through during the course of the night. So it is really, really important that you check these things and so forth. Make sure your vehicle, they're working, and when you're coming to the evening and so on, the lighting that you should have checked as well in the morning or just before evening shut. One of the things you want to check. In addition to that, there are people who carry around particular tools and equipment that could be converted into offensive weapon. Around this time, you may not have that kind of a sinister or evil intent, but other persons may, and they may have access to the things that you are carrying. So you want to be mindful that you keep certain items away if they should not be in use. If you are a construction person, a contractor, a builder, a regular carpenter, or a mason, there are certain equipment that can be used to break and enter people's places and so forth. We have these massive equipment that you can use to cut locks and bolts and other things, and we have now the wireless instruments that can go wrong and so forth. Portable tools that can give the people with bad intention the opportunity to get access to some things quickly. So you want to ensure that you do not carry them around in your vehicle and park in some places, park in dark places where your vehicles are likely to be broken into. And they may not just be looking for money or otherwise. They may be looking for something that can help them to get them to do something easier that is not good. So you want to be mindful of that and keep things away from your home, from outside of the house. Pack and lock away carefully. When you're leaving the house, ensure that it's properly lit. Nowadays, the motion sensor lights are good. Even the solar energy ones are also good. And always ensure that your lighting and your activity patterns, they do not remain the same. We also spoke about access to your homes and the lighting and leaving keys and so on. Try to ensure, spend an extra $6 or $8 to cut an extra key for the visitors who are coming and they need to have access to the house. Don't just tell them, well, you can find the keys in the flower pot, you can find it under the stone in the garden, down by the pepper tree and all of that. The guys and them understand those are some patterns. Don't use that. spend, as I said, the extra $8 or $6 or $12 sometime. Cut an extra key, get a key holder. There are business places that have key holders that you can get. Yeah. Ask them for one or two. Tokens? Yes, they will probably just give you one. I know Chilaxon will do that too. So you can just get one of those key holders and make sure you give everybody a key and tell them pin it on themselves, hold it with you. So even if it gets lost, that's not a problem, but it is easier. People don't know exactly whose house is going to get to. And so make sure that you also keep them safe. Don't carry around all the excess cash that you don't really need. Some people, fellas like to flaunt and float and everything else. And especially when you come from abroad, you want to flaunt those massive gold chains. And there are guys that buy proper gold chains and they have good cash that they come with. Don't be that kind of a show off. Your show off will lead to the disadvantage of somebody else. It may not be your life or somebody may injure. Maybe somebody in the process, because you flaunted your stuff, could get injured. Yeah. So try not to be excessive and be over flamboyant in your movements. Just carry around the amount of money. For the night you're going to spend $150 in soft drinks or in juice or cane juice and coconut water and so on.
Walk with the $150.
Walk with the $150. If you get brooks and so on, you have friends that steal shit, man. My money kind of.
Money's home. Let me have 20 and I'll give you back.
That's correct.
If they have it,
that's correct. So you want to be generally safe. But in addition to those kind of tips that we spoke about, in our program from our company and our foundation, the I'm Safer, it is our thing to give those safety tips and tell you what you should do about some injuries. Accidents are what they are likely to happen. So some person may get trapped in a vehicle. I need to tell you what you should do about that. Some people may get maybe a laceration, an incision, a puncture. They may get a bruise like a contused wound or otherwise. You may need to know. Somebody may have an asthma attack. They may have epilepsy and other things of that sort. They will come down with these things. Really quickly before we go off the program, I'm going to tell you in no rocket science language how you can handle some of these things without the expert being there. Yeah. And part of our teams are going to be around. These are some of the things that we're going to be rehearsing, we're going to be practicing, so if those things happen, it's not if but when. A lot of things will happen that you don't prepare for. We hope that nobody stabs anybody or anything like that. But somebody may just fall and there might be bottles and so on, and somebody may get puncture. You would need to know what to do about that. So we're going to touch on those a little bit to remind people that you can handle some safety things, and you don't have to make every situation get really worse and wait for the expert to come. You waiting on the expert could mean life or death.
Life or death.
In addition to the general home safety tips and so on, water, electricity, and the other power source that you like, or utility that one may have. It is really good that the children, you keep them safe. Yes. I repeat that. Children must not be left with children. There has to be somebody that is beyond the child to look after persons if you have to go to an event. And really and truly, people, do not sacrifice the safety of your children for a seasonal thing. Yeah. We were speaking about the domestic violence and the abuse of our minors, particularly the females and so on. And parents has a lot to do with that in terms of how you mentor, how you bring your children up. Allow children to be children. We mentioned that last week. Allow children to attend children activities, but they still have to be supervised, because there are some adult things that people introduce into children things, and once found, you should be able to guide your child at it. The other thing, particularly the young ladies and so on, mothers, people, aunties and grandmother, why do you want to make your little daughter look like a grown-up? Why do you want to put those weave-ons and those long hair and everything on your little child?
And the provocative clothing and so on.
And why do you want to give them that kind of a look? You want to break the crime triangle. Do not generate or create opportunities for those who are looking for it to commit a crime. Do not create that blown-up affair that makes your young child look like a grown-up. Allow your child to be a child. Some of the hairstyles you see that mothers put on their children, you're wondering, is this a little child? You look from behind, you watch, and when you look in front, you realize the mothers make you, if you just pass it on and their lips is coming off. And it's little people.
And there are parents that think it's okay. Huh?
They think it's okay, but I want to tell you it's not. I listen to criminals, I hear fellas and I hear men, you see how they look and you know what's going through their minds. But in their mind, they're not seeing that, because you are creating a blown up image of your young sweet little children. You should not do that. This long weave and those kind of plaits and styles and so on, allow them to take their time to grow.
You know, you focus a lot on the hairstyle, Mr. McIntyre, but sometimes the provocative clothing. The clothing that they wear.
Yes.
You understand?
The short pieces and the
it's sometimes,
and the tight ones.
Sometimes I wonder if parents are actually going out and purchase these things for their children.
Well, the thing that they purchase, I don't think they understand where it should be worn. Because a lot of them they have in the public, it should be inside the house.
I mean, I just wonder, did a parent go out and purchase that for their daughter to wear that?
They do.
You understand?
Because their mindset is different.
Or sometimes do the parent actually know that their daughter has purchased that particular piece of clothing? That's another part of the story there also.
So then check the line, check the chain of where the things came from.
Because sometimes they don't leave home like that sometimes too.
So it says to us generally that we need stronger parenting, and in addition to that, I want to join with my friend Hector. I really want to join with you to say that we need statesmen and women, people who would stand and represent the cause, people even in public offices and so on who are supposed to be represented prominently. We need them to hold their position and be statespeople to represent the cause effectively, and a lot of times they don't. They let us down.
That has somehow dwindled a wee bit in society today, Mr. McIntyre.
Yeah.
Individuals who should stand up and speak about these things or say something and that to create that level of awareness, we don't hear from them anymore.
Did we generate or create a sort of a bridle? You know it's a bridle, right?
Yeah.
When the horses, they think they put in the horse mouth and so, not totally a gag, it's just a bridle, so they can't
hold it back. Somehow a bridle has been put on individuals.
And we want to
a muscle too.
Yeah. So did we generate that, and we allow people we allow people to get to the point where they feel fearful of speaking up? Well, I don't want
to say anything because I think it comes back to the way society has become in terms of the social media aspect, because you know these days anything you say you have a tendency to be cursed off.
Right.
I'm saying it as raw as I can on social media and these things these days. Sometimes you say something for a purpose that will help individual, but somehow 1,000 people may see differently to what you're saying. You understand? And then so some folks may see these individuals how they have been bullied per se, and decide, hey, I don't want to get myself into that.
Yeah.
So maybe I should just stay back.
So you see the bullying and these kind of attitude things, a whole new conversation.
Yeah.
There's serious bullying in some for institutions and schools, and we have to deal with it. And on the streets, like it was close to 1 or after 1 a.m. this morning, I was driving, and you had jobs on the street them kind of time, right?
Yeah.
And there was one guy was in a vehicle and with talking this, and I said hi to him, and the guy sent back some obscene. And I was, I don't know what you think I was saying to him or otherwise, but the influence of the season, the activity causes people to behave so off and so unusual that it generates.
And safety plays a part into that also.
Yeah.
Because now someone may say something to you that you may not be happy with.
Yeah.
And you know what, the violence can intermingle into that. They know, because
of course,
how come Mr. McIntyre say X to me? You understand? And I'm not accepting his X.
Right.
You understand?
I know.
And then it leads to some verbal altercation. Then it becomes violent.
Yes, it does. So I will use about 5 minutes to touch on some real safety specific areas.
Okay.
And maybe the latter 5 or 10 minutes before we close the program, we'll entertain maybe
a couple of calls. I'm seeing the calls are coming, but we're not going to entertain the calls as yet.
So one, if somebody has a circulatory problem or a bleeding situation, no rocket science. What your first aim is to ensure that you control the bleeding. Note well, I did not say stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
You do that, you put a dressing on it, you apply direct pressure first and foremost. With your hand, the palm of your hand, the fingers, press on it. Make sure you get something else to cover it first, and then get another thing that you put on top of it. If it soaks through, make sure you put another one. Your aim then is to prevent excessive loss of blood.
Yeah.
Excessive loss of blood leads to a process called shock.
Yeah.
Shock means that there's insufficient fluid in the body to keep the vital organs alive. So if somebody dehydrates, they sweat too much, they have diarrhea, or they vomit too much, or they bleed too much, or otherwise, they can go into a state called shock. Once there's insufficient fluid in the body, it affects the vital organs, the heart, the lungs, etc. They will start losing their usefulness. Eventually, the person going to pass off, they can die. So your aim is to prevent that from happening. That's a bleeding condition situation. Whatever part of the body somebody is bleeding. If somebody gets a contused wound, which is called a bruise, where they are struck by a blunt object, like a stone, a piece of wood, or otherwise, where the skin is not broken, one of the things that you want to do is to ensure, first and foremost, and that applies for fractures, sprains, and strains as well. The first application for a situation of that nature is to apply a cold compress. Okay. So get something that is cold, maybe a rag, get some ice in a cloth or something, and you apply it over the area and put it intermittently. You hold it down until the person says it's too cold. You need to do it. You need to do that process about 15 minutes, give it a break, and continue that. If you do that when somebody gets those kind of a knock, immediately you would reduce the swelling, you would reduce inflammation, you would reduce pressure from forming in that area, and subsequently reduce pain from the person, and you would aid in the healing process happening much quicker. So that's if somebody gets a blow where the skin is not broken and they're not bleeding. It's called a contused wound. Okay. Is somebody fainting is immediate loss of oxygen to the vital organs as well. So if you have a sudden cut of oxygen, a person goes into that temporary, sometimes they get unconscious but they faint off. Not every time they would go unconscious. But it means, therefore, that there is a limit in the amount of oxygen that the person is getting. So what you want to be able to do is to release from the crown of the head, as I say, to the sole of the feet, ensure that there is nothing restricting the neck, the waist, the chest. You know, the ladies like to have this tight thing holding their bellies. Sometimes they have the girdles and so on that's restricting them from moving and all that. You want to release these things that people, the men with the tight socks and other things and the tight shoes and lace and so forth, you want to release these things. It also applies for a person who's asthmatic, a person who's epileptic or otherwise. An asthma condition is simply the excessive or released narrowing of the air passage. Yeah. Once that is done, it's buttoned by a trigger. You still want to ensure that the person is taken away from the trigger or the trigger is taken away from them, but ensure that the area is thoroughly ventilated. Open windows, take them away, get fresh air to them. Do not hold on a person who is asthmatic. They'll be going through that serious chest pain. They're going to tell you they want to die, their chest is locking up, etc. What you want to do is to help them to come up and go back down. Ask them to close their mouth, pull into the nose, blow out through your mouth. Ask them to breathe and not to hyperventilate. So you talk to them really calm, really nice, and say, take a deep breath. Try to take a deep breath through your nose, blow it out through your mouth. Take a deep breath through your nose, blow it out through your mouth. One of the things you're likely to see with somebody who is asthmatic or epileptic is that the lips or the earlobes will get darker. That's an indication that there's lack of oxygen in the system. That process of the darkening of the lips, like a blackish gray, it's called cyanosis. A cyanosis is definitely a lack of oxygen within the system. What you want to do again is to ensure that you free that person up, that they are able to breathe. The people who are going to come around, try to find out what's going on, ask them to back off and ensure that that person have a free space. A person who's epileptic or has convulsive seizure or otherwise, they generate a lot of energy. It's a electrical malfunction within the brain. It affects the brain system. There's no real cure for that, but there are conditions, medication that you can give to control it. A person who is epileptic or has seizure, they will let off a lot of energy. They would need to have good breathing space, because that also as well affects the oxygen level.
What usually triggers that, Mr. McIntyre?
Well, epileptic seizure, there's except a person do a full MRI or do a EEG or ECG, those tests and so forth, to find out exactly what's causing it. But what the experts have identified, that it's the electrical function that goes to your cells, your nerves, etc., from the central nervous system. If it has something that is affecting that, sometimes they have not even found. I've known a lot of cases where those tests and scans have done and they could not find the cause. What they do know is where it comes from.
Consumes a lot of alcohol. I know there's an individual. Drinks a lot of alcohol, and every time that individual does that, he gets that
But you may have had an original condition that may have
so something prior to that was
prior. And
usually if he don't drink any alcohol, he don't have the problem.
Right.
Anytime that excessive amount of alcohol is drinking.
And when one is epileptic or he may have seizures or otherwise, there are conditions that will bring it on. And those persons who are diagnosed with it, they would understand what brings it on. And so once they go to the doctor, they will prescribe some medication, and the activities and the diets would be, obviously has to be controlled and challenged to what they should, because there are things that would bring it on and conditions. So for instance, a person who may have seizures, cold condition may bring it on, as well as it could bring on asthma attacks as well. Heated condition, over stress or excessively stress environment could bring it on. So different conditions. So once the person or the people around them understand what brings it on, you try to minimize that. But if you are just a lay person, you're not an expert, a doctor who is going to treat these persons, what you have to do is to ensure that that person who comes down with that attack, they do not fall or damage themselves while standing. The history has shown that more persons have gotten serious conditions, secondary causes rather than the primary, because people allow them to fall, they knock themselves and so forth. So if they're going to go down eventually, you have to prevent them from knocking themselves. If they get to the ground, they're going to bang up the head, they're going to twitch and move. Yeah. Support around them with blankets, cloth or so, that they go, if they end up getting totally unconscious, you'd put them on their sides, left or right side, hands under the head, legs pulled in a particular way to support the body. That position is called the recovery position. So do not leave people who collapse lying flat on their bellies or lying on their back. If they vomit, it's going to go up, it's going to come back, and it can choke them, they can die. If you leave them on their face, they will vomit, or otherwise just as well, they may have bleeding or other condition that can cause them to choke on or asphyxiate, call it asphyxia, and they can also pass out. So a person who collapses, and I want people to listen to that process carefully, you just don't leave them lying on the belly while you call for help or you try to get help for them. If you pull a person out of the scene and near drowning situation as well, you do a process of chest compression, you may be able to recover them. You should leave them lying on the side. So anytime somebody collapses and you are awaiting transportation or otherwise, please do not leave them lying on the bellies or on the back. Please put them on the side. And the aspect of putting piece of wood, putting piece of cloth, and putting piece of nutmeg and other things in people's mouth, you're not advised to do that. Those conditions, preventing people from biting on their gums or damaging themselves, those are control measures that are more done by the second aiders, because they know what amount of things to put, what time you put, and how you're going to control. The average person on the street should not, because you may create a worse condition from a bad condition. That thing that you put in could block the airway. They can bite on that same stuff and they can pull it back. It can cause other complications, and those persons can pass out. Medications and other things, like people want to give people smelling salts and throw things in their nose and all these things. Average lay persons on the street should not do that, because people may be allergic to some condition. You may just bring on that thing. The allergic reaction may trigger something else. It could cause a person to have respiratory challenge that can lead into fatality. So you do want to limit giving things to people as much as possible, but just try to, if there's a breathing situation or restriction, you ensure that the airway is open, that they don't have anything blocking their nose and their mouths. If there's a bleeding situation, you want to ensure that you're able to control the amount of blood loss or otherwise. And if a person is unconscious or otherwise, and you're going to leave them for some time to get second aid, do not leave them lying on their bellies or on their back. Put them on the side. And if you suspect somebody may have fallen from, or you know they fall from a height or in an accident, do not hold them and pull them. Always ensure you support the head, try to keep the body in one straight unit, get a flat piece of board or otherwise, slide them onto it and move them to the point where they can relax to get into a better transport or the ambulance when it comes. Do not try to move somebody who was suspected spinal injury. They may have a serious fall or accident where they were trapped. Try to bring them in a piece of blanket or in a slack stretcher or otherwise. You will create further damage to them.
All right. Of course.
That was quite a lot, right?
That's a lot.
I hope people are taking a little bit of it.
It was, as I like to say, fruitful information.
Yes.
And certainly hope that folks, of course, who are listening and viewing, will put them into practice when the time comes.
Right.
Mr. McIntyre, we drew for a break. We're not going to take that break. We're just going to take the calls, and then we're going to take a wrap for for today's program. We do have our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, morning, Mr. Morning, GT, and morning, Mr. McIntyre.
Good morning, sir.
I called to agree with Mr. Maguire and Mr. McIntyre in the sense that definition, in terms of, not that I'm being hostile to you, GT, in terms of the definition of gangs. We have that fundamental problem in Glen. I think that's one of the problems we have even with the definition of climate change.
Right.
And a few years ago, when I was very active on the international scene, when and Mr. McIntyre may be familiar with it, when there was an attempt to build a military coast guard base in Caracou, that came to the attention of Friends of the Earth International.
Yeah.
And the American Friends of the Earth group was saying, no. This is not a base. And the other people said, no, you can't say that because of the size. It is a base for the people. So if that base is not something that people welcome, why you want them to welcome? Of course, the resolution was passed asking the U.S. not to proceed. Now, similarly, as we know, instead of trying to deal with the issue of gangs years ago, we had the leaders saying there's no gang, even though some of the members of government was already saying there's gang. And finally, because I know I can't take all the time, in terms of forest, I remember an expert, Grenadian expert, taking issue with me when I said we should treat Grenada as a forest. Because he was trying to say we don't have forest in Grenada and comparing it with Central. No, Grenada is a forest. Every tree should be considered as part of the forest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Hello.
Good morning. Welcome. Go right ahead, please.
Good day, morning.
Hello. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. McIntyre. I try not to say certain things in public, but I think some compliments are well earned. And so I wish to compliment you for the professional way you handled the talk this morning. And one thing you did was like opening up a Pandora box, talking about the young ladies, the young girls with certain woman-like hairstyle and so on, the braids and so on. I think you open up a Pandora box because I can just see people throwing stones at you and telling you behave yourself, or is it your child? Is their child? They can do whatever they want. But you talk on something which has a lot of scientific basis.
Yes, sir.
There's a condition called traction alopecia.
Oh, okay.
From medical standpoint, you could Google it, you could look it up.
Okay.
And it's when people actually go to see the dermatologist for that. When people put this tight-fitting braid on the head and hairstyle, it puts a traction force on the hair root, the follicles. And eventually the follicles can get damaged and hair stop growing back there, so they get bald spot. And then so when you're 80 and 90 years old and so on, and an elderly lady has those spots in the head, she probably not bothering about that. So it comes with age. But you do that to young people, by the time they become teenager, they may end up with bald spot. The hairline may become receded, and then they may end up now having to be in this vicious cycle, trying to cover it up. So it's a never-ending stuff. The other thing too is, from a sanitary standpoint, we know that germs are everywhere. We have germs in our body and so on. But in some industry, it's important that people hair are not too long. And think of it, you wearing long braids going all the way down to your bottom, and you sit on the toilet. What do you think happened to that hair? It goes in the toilet bowl.
Sorry, sir, but it's there's that,
And then so working in a food industry or in the hospital, you go in the toilet.
He's correct. He's so on point.
You're probably not washing that thing every day, or washing it like the way you wash your hands. So when you go in the toilet, you sit on the toilet, that hair is probably rushing all around the toilet seat and so on, and then you go around serving food or working in a medical clinic. Oh, wow. So there are consequences of those things, and it's not a matter of keep quiet while you don't want to make children and this kind of way our attitude. The other thing you approach is it's like foresight. We have to have foresight in how we do things. I'm not going to disclose much information here, but I live in a community that we have a HOA, and it's been here for about 20 years. And when the place was constructed, they put a lot of trees and so on. And I love trees. They are part of nature. But the thing is, it's not little shrubs like flowers. They plant like pine trees and oak trees and crepe myrtle and so on. Those things look real nice, but the mature height sometimes all 30 feet, 40 feet in the air. And they plant them so close to the houses. And guess what it cost us in the HOA? Thousands of dollars to remove those trees. Because they start encroaching upon the driveway.
Well, I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap, please, because we're a bit strapped for time.
So I think,
thanks for your contribution. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Real good.
Let's take our final caller before we wrap. Caller, good morning. Welcome, and appreciate your patience. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, GT, and good morning, Mr. McIntyre.
Good morning.
Listen, I know we stop for time, but just what I want to, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me. Mr. McIntyre, I think you are the 16th minister without portfolio. I am dedicating. I'm giving you that credibility this morning. The 16th minister, and thank you for your work. Thank you for what you're doing, and we pledge allegiance to Grenada. Have a good day.
Oh, wow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
That's all you called to say. That was cool. That was good.
So McIntyre, that's what we're going to take a wrap for today?
Yes, but GT, we not like it to be, I don't know, next Monday if we're going to be on, and the following Monday, which is Carnival and so on.
Yeah. But as I was telling you, I know, Emancipation is going to be on the 1st.
Yeah.
The 1st of
But is the 1st going to be a holiday? That's next Friday.
But I'm not sure.
That's Friday coming.
I think it's going to be a holiday. I think it's a holiday.
Okay, I'm not hearing much about
previously, I get some more information on it.
Right.
But I'll let you know. So I'm not sure we're going to get the Monday or still, if not, Monday is going to be a holiday. If not, we can't be here.
We're going to be here, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be here. If it's a holiday, we're not here.
If it's not a holiday, we will be here.
Yeah. If it's not a holiday, we will be here. If not, we'll be here after Carnival.
After Carnival.
Yeah.
After Carnival. I hope not. Hope we can at least have one more program before Carnival.
Yeah. Right. So as we leave, we just still, if we're going to have the other program, we don't have it, we just want to advise everybody to be safety, follow simple guidelines, follow up on the safety tips. There are persons, Ministry of Health, law enforcement, and voluntary groups and organizations that will be there to provide some level of support throughout this season. But if you're going to be going to a festive season, be cautious, be vigilant, look out for those who are not looking out for you, look out for yourself, look out for the children in particular. If you're driving, be safe on the road. Understand that consuming alcohol and other substances can really distract your vision. It can really, limit your ability to be conscious and very cognitive on our roads. And again, look out for the ones who may not be looking out for you and for themselves.
All right. Well, certainly there's not much I can add to that. Of course, you said it all. So McIntyre, until we see you again, have a good word, sir.
Bless.
To our listeners and viewers, thank you so much for staying around with us this morning. Until then, have a good one. That's where we say goodbye for today's edition.